this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
Oh, no.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. SeptumSin versus the world. I'd buy that for $1.
Greetings! You're watching SeptumSin versus the World. I'm SeptumSin. This is Kotobukijake.
Hey?
And we're here to show you what we got.
What the hell?
Show me what you got. I want to see what you got. Oh boy.
So we got some fun stuff coming up over here. And I guess I'll be starting us off. I just went ahead and I did my usual mix. No theme for me. I have a bunch that I need to filter in. I have a whole bunch of pre-orders that are coming eventually, but and one big order that I'm waiting for that order to come in, and then I will put those in the mix. Maybe I'll do a full moon, a full moon centric episode. I have enough to do that.
I do not.
So I'm gonna start with a video game. I got it from CD Japan, or no, was it Play Asia? Play Asia, which is a way to get physical copies of video games that are in English, but they're Asian copies that can play on your system. And this is one I wanted to get from Limited Run, but they sold out very quickly. I had the money, and that's Grandia. Now this is the HD remaster, which has both the first and second game in it. Which gives me both of these. I have the third one digitally on the PlayStation 3, which is good because it'll probably disappear. And as you can see, there's a lot of Japanese on the back. But the difference is this is not Chinese on the back, which would be a less than legal. But this one is legal. And I don't think the Switch has a region, but even if it did, this would still work fine because they made this region free.
Okay.
Also, it does have an English option, and you even have like English and Japanese dialogue. Assembled in Japan. Let's see here. But I also have this digitally, but I really love this game series, so I wanted it physical. So I may never open this because the digital copy is already downloaded on my Switch. But the original game, I haven't played the second game, but the original game was sold to me when it came out on PlayStation 1 because the entire concept was you're going on an adventure. To adventure. That's it. No saving the world, no nothing. Adventure. Second half of the game becomes a typical RPG with typical tropes, but at least the first half is just these kids having fun. And I love that. It was just such a fresh concept. The battle system is a bit tedious when it comes to leveling, but it's still pretty good. If you want to see a good playthrough of it, David Vink, DAVIDVINC, his channel, he did a playthrough of this. And he did a pretty good job with it, so you can see the whole game all the way through if you want. But it is a lovely game, great voice acting, great characters, and probably is going to be on the thumbnail today.
Cool.
So, well worth it. And I may eventually play Grandia 2. It was actually known for the Dreamcast as its original release.
Okay, and Blanche has joined us just for the moment, but I don't know if she'll be on screen. So, my theme is sales. It's that time of year. And one that I have not been able to really put as much into this. Haven't honestly had as much incentive to put as much into this as my fellow members of Inside Movies Galore and whatever. But Shout Factory every year does their, or rather their Scream Factory group does a big Shocktober sale. And just like, I think last year I ordered 4 items. 3 or 4, I think it was 4. This time around I ordered 4. And fittingly enough, I had the theme in mind of Inside Movies Galore, Delusions of Grandeur, picking up stuff from those. But the first one I'm going to present breaks that theme slightly. This is one we have not covered yet, but everything I've heard is that it will happen. So, might as well be prepared, right?
Yeah.
And that is John Carpenter's They Live.
Excellent film.
Which I have heard is an excellent film. It's a little weak on special features relative to some of these. And I know they recently did a big re-release of this. So this is not that edition. But it's still a nice edition. It's got a really cool cover. I do like that. And, you know, you still got a decent bit of special features there. And it was not terrible. None of them I got were terribly expensive. So they were all pretty good gets. And like I said, I've never seen this yet, but I've heard a lot about it. And I know we will eventually be covering it on the channel. So I figured I'd be proactive.
Kicking ass and chewing bubblegum. And they ran out of bubblegum. Which is one of the... If you want to know where that came from, it came from that movie.
All right.
And essentially it's a movie about some people. They get these weird sunglasses. And they realize that reality as they see it isn't exactly how it really is.
Right.
And that's a pretty good basic summary without a lot of spoilers. Because that's pretty much it all in a nutshell. Alright, so this one was one I've been buying from, over the summer I've been buying off of this guy who's been selling his collection off. He's been kind of slowly throwing things on sale. And he brought this one down to a very reasonable price. He was unemployed, he's trying to, you know, do this. I shared it with a bunch of people. And this one I picked up was the Taisho trilogy. 3 films by Seijun Suzuki.
I thought that was an Arrow release.
Yep, from Arrow Academy. I'm sure there was a nicer version of this, but that's okay. This is nice enough as it is.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It's the first movie is Zaigenerweisen. You do Japanese perfectly. What's that?
Well, I'm almost wondering if that's German, but I would say...
That doesn't look Japanese to me. Okay. Kagero-za and Yumeji.
Yeah, those are Japanese.
After more than a decade in the wilderness, following his firing from Nikatsu for Branded to Kill, 1967, Maverick director Seijun Suzuki returns with a vengeance with his critically praised triptych of cryptic supernatural dramas set during the liberal enlightenment of Japan's Taisho era, 1912 to 26. So won multiple Academy Awards, Japanese Academy Awards, for the one that sounds German, 1980. 2 intellectuals and a former colleague from the military academy involved their wives in a series of dangerous sexual games. And Kagero-za, a playwright, is drawn like a moth to the flame to a mysterious beauty who might be a ghost. And Yumeji imagines the real-life printer poet... I can't read it because they put the symbol in front of it. Let's see, Yumeji encounter.
I'm gonna guess Takahisa, maybe.
Maybe his encounter with a beautiful widow with a dark past. So it's got some decent special features on that bad boy. And Arrow does a pretty good job regardless.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's kind of fun to have it. It's a good one to go in on, and I was curious about it.
And does that one show that it has the American... It does say it does.
Yeah,
okay.
It's an American one.
You never know with Arrow. I mean, you do, but yeah. I'm a little gun shy because I don't think they always match up. Anyway, They Live, of course, the re-release, if I recall correctly, had a steelbook edition as well as a regular. Another one that they did a really fancy steelbook for that, I'm sorry, I like the film, but I don't like it enough to go all out for a steelbook. But I still thought a really nice Scream Factory release would be worth having. And, it was cheap. I was like, well, hell, why not? One film that we did cover, I believe 2 years ago, you can tell me if you think I'm right, is a film called Pumpkinhead, which was a very intriguing film. Like I said, not a great film, but intriguing. But I do like the cover art on that, and this comes with a crap load of special features.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that was probably a pretty cool pickup, and like I said, I didn't need to go super fancy with this particular one. I think this will look cool enough on the shelf.
I can't remember whether we covered the second one. I know that I watched all of the Pumpkinhead films.
I don't think we've officially covered the sequels yet. But I wouldn't surprise me if they come up eventually.
And I have that edition.
But that is one issue with Shout that's an issue, is that when you do have a series, sometimes they'll have the sequel, but they'll let it go out of print much faster than the original, or they'll have and honestly, a lot of these, I just made the executive decision of, I'll get this and not worry about the sequels unless something,
If it's a series that you want the sequels to, and you know that Shout is releasing the sequels, like Candyman or Sleepaway Camp, get the sequels. Prioritize those. They will go out of print. The other one... I mean, the original films, like Sleepaway Camp, the original, is still in print. You can't get it with a slipcover, but if you're into that thing, well, you'll be paying a lot of money.
That was on the sale, and I thought about it. Maybe next year.
Original Sleepaway Camp is a good film. Yeah. We covered that, didn't we?
We did. Yep. Very recently, I believe.
I have my, vintage one, so I'm good with that. So, this one's a Dollar Tree pickup.
Nice.
And this is a Chinese animated film called Niza.
You got that at Dollar Tree?
Yes.
Holy crap.
And I said, you know what? That's appropriate. I heard it was good.
It's supposed to be one of the highest grossing films they've ever had.
And they have a sequel, I believe, but I don't think that's been released here yet.
That was Dollar Tree? Holy.
So I was curious about it. A young boy, Neza, is birthed from a heavenly pearl by the primeval Lord of Heaven. Born with unique powers, Neza finds himself as an outcast who is hated and feared, destined by prophecy to bring destruction to the world. The young boy must choose between good and evil in order to break the shackles of fate and become the hero. Dun, dun, dun.
Cool.
It looks fun.
Yeah.
I've heard it's good. So, for $1, I want to try that out.
I wanted to see it, and I just never got around to it. It has a middling rating, but like I said, very high gross.
For $1.
Exactly.
I
buy that for $1, exactly. Now, this one I bought for a little more than $1, but, still not a huge amount. But, speaking of Candyman... So we got the nice collector's edition. This is actually a 2-disc set.
It's a good set.
That includes the unrated cut. That's got a crap ton of features on it. But we did cover this a little while back, and it was quite good. I have seen the remake, remake, sequel, reboot, whatever the hell you want to call it. And it's pretty good. A little heavy-handed, but good. I have not seen the sequels, right?
Yep.
What were there, 2 of them? 3 of them?
2 and 3.
And I believe, like we were just saying, I think Shout has out-of-print copies of both of those. I don't care enough to worry about it. I figured this was an essential for the collection.
Well, just the second
It's
one.
great.
It doesn't.
like I said.
I don't think they did the third.
All right.
I'm pretty sure. I know they didn't do a Blu-ray release.
Of course, part of me is thinking, like, now that we got this new one out, one of these days there'll probably be a complete collection with all of them. But this is a damn fine placeholder in the meantime.
Yeah, Shud only did the first 2 films,
Okay.
and the last one you can get on DVD only.
Did you see that apparently Wheel of Fortune got in hot water over that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just found that funny.
Another Dollar Tree pickup, but one that I really liked the documentary of was the movie Queen of Versailles.
Oh,
This one actually made the rounds and even had whispers for Oscar
that's a
for a while.
release.
But never actually made. I don't think it made the nomination. But it's still an interesting one. It's about this really rich guy. I think he's no longer. I think he went bankrupt. But they were trying to build this, essentially, this mansion called Versailles. It is very much looking at the out of touch people and how they live. So I did like. I did like this documentary, and I was glad to have it. From what I recall, this dude was ripping people off. So he ended up, yeah. It's there, but apparently his bubble burst when the economic crisis hit, 2008. So, but still, they were trying to build basically Versailles.
And as we said before, Magnolia makes some really good documentaries, or distributes, I should say, some really good documentaries.
Dollar Tree gets a lot of them.
And if you find them in the wild, you're usually a Dollar Tree, but if you find them in the wild, snap them up because they're not easy to find. I don't know why so many of them end up at Dollar Tree, but that's
Fine
pretty
by
cool.
me. I'll pick them up.
You're having better luck there than I've had recently, that's for sure.
Well, this is a while.
Okay.
That one was a while back.
Okay.
Nisa was probably about 6 months
Okay.
back, but
Okay.
that one's a couple years back.
Wait, Nisha was 6 months back?
Yeah.
The film's only like 2 years old.
I know.
Wow, that's weird. Anyway, my last one from this shout order, and actually this is one that I was going to order last October, and they sold out before I got to it, which I was kind of annoyed. But it actually, of the 3 that we've covered on Movies Galore that I got, this was the one that I genuinely enjoyed a little more than the other 2. And I will not dispute the importance of this historically. I'm not as sure about Pumpkinhead. But this one is damn near essential to the collection. And that is Black Christmas.
The original slasher.
Yep, the old Bob Clark film that started a genre, basically. Like last week, I think was when I presented Bay of Blood, when we talked about the origins of the slasher genre, but this was really where it all coalesced into one film. And I just love that the film stars Olivia Hussey, who I will always know as Juliet. And so I just find that kind of hilarious. Plus Margot Kidder's in there. And again, crap ton of special features on a 2-disc set. So that was a pretty cool pickup. And again, I'm not surprised it sold out last year. I was very disappointed that it did. But this year, it happened.
One of these I'll upgrade, but if I don't, I'm not too worried about it. I've got a pretty decent DVD.
Cool.
But it is a good movie to have. I have multiple versions of Black Christmas. I have that one. I've got the 2018 version, I think it was. The feminist Black Christmas.
2019? I don't remember. I think it was 19.
Yeah, the feminist Black Christmas.
And then there was the Black Xmas.
Black Xmas, which is my favorite of the 3. But I have all 3 of them, and I enjoyed all of them to one level or another. Cool. So, another Dollar Tree pickup was Rider... No, just kidding. I did pick up this a while back, and I had waited a little bit longer, I think, than you did picking this up. But I did go ahead and get this because I was going to get... it was a film by Masaki Yuasa, which, you know, I really loved Night a Short Walk On Girl, and it got me obsessed with him. So I waited until this was under 14 and picked it up. And I really did like it. It's a tale of loss and redemption, essentially, about this individual who they hook up with a relationship, and there's a love of the sea involved, there's loss involved, and some kind of spiritual mechanic that helps draw her back from loss to life. I'm not going to go any further in on that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about the plot without giving away a pretty major plot point that could be a spoiler. But
yeah, again, it's all about loss and life, and
coping with.
Yes, so it's a to me, it's a very good movie, very well done. I still liked Life is Short, Walk On Girl better.
Well, that was more purely fun.
And did you hear that that Disney has bought up the rights to, what was it? The, Tatami Galaxy. Which means they're quitting the physical distribution.
Oh, it sucks.
So if you want to get a copy of that, you better get it.
For a second there, I was going to joke, because wasn't he also the one behind Devilman Crybaby?
Yes.
So I was going to say,
Netflix
is that
has
the one?
that. So,
it would make me so happy if Disney bought it.
And sadly, Netflix has, of course, pretty much guaranteed that's not getting a physical. I've been told because of the Prime streaming deal that the likelihood of getting that last Ava movie on physical could take up to 3 years.
Oh, well, I won't be surprised by that.
Which is sad, but I just won't watch them until then.
How long did it take for it to get released in the first place? What's 3 years?
Well, that's true. I mean, I'll just wait on it. I've heard that it probably will get a physical.
Well, you'll have to see it before we do our movie awards next year.
Oh, I probably won't, because I am doing it on principle. So it'll be one I may not watch for the awards.
Well, it'll be up to me and Roger and Mo to vote on that, I guess.
So, in any case, that's mine.
Okay. Next up, we're switching gears here. Okay, so, as we all know, because we are good movie fans and good movie collectors here, November is Criterion Month. And I went to Barnes & Noble to buy some Criterion films. But that's not what I'm leading into, because they had another sale that completely caught me off guard, and I was unexpected. The shelf was picked clean. There were like 24 Blu-rays left of a dozen titles. And luckily for me, I guess, because there was less temptation. But also luckily for me, they had some really, lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, they had some really good ones. And they had a display for Arrow, which we saw a nice Arrow release earlier. Arrow is also something you very rarely see in the wild.
Oh, yeah.
Generally, you order them online. But from what I understood from the display, it looks like Barnes & Noble will possibly be making it a semi-regular thing.
That would be nice.
But they actually had a 50% off sale on the Arrow as well. So it was comparable in price to Criterion. And they are comparable in a lot of ways when it comes to bonus features and overall value, bang for your buck. Assuming, of course, you have one that will play on your player. I actually picked up two. One, in the first one, is another film that we have covered on Inside Movies Galore. This is one I've actually eyed getting a couple of times before and just backed away from because it was hard to get a good price on this. And as it is, $20 is a little more than I wanted to pay, but hell, an Arrow Blu-ray, you could do worse. And that is the old Western Django, which actually has a crapload of special features on it. I mean, this is a pretty cool release. I mean, I love the cover art. It's really nice. But I mean, this has a couple of documentaries. It's got, your typical commentary tracks. You've got different audio versions, both the original English and the original Italian, but not the original Japanese, I'm afraid. But overall, we had fun with this discussion, and I've been looking for a way to get this ever since, and I couldn't pass it up when I saw it just sitting there on the shelf,
There's so many movies involved in that series.
I know.
Let's see here. So this one is one I picked up when I heard it was releasing because I wanted these live actions. I always like it when I can get a live action. I'm going to try and put money together for the live action Cutie Honey coming out early next year.
Cool.
Because I've watched it and it's an excellent series. I think you watched part of that.
I
series
think so.
too.
That was batshit insane. I loved it.
It was so much fun. And also that tells them maybe like things like the live action Sailor Moon or something like that. If it sells good, there's more likelihood of those coming. And that one was really good. Like,
I want the live action Negima.
Because they did like a plot where they made Sailor Mercury evil for a time, and it was pretty damn cool. It wasn't comical in the same sense.
Or One Pound Gospel, that'd be a good one.
Yes, there are a lot
or
of good
the Maison and Koku.
I like the Honey and Clover.
The Maison and
action.
Koku specials we really want.
That live action Maison and Koku that the Korean release. That would have been great. Not Maison and Koku, sorry, Honey and Clover.
Yes.
That the Korea released was really good. So this is one of the two movies for School Live.
Oh, nice.
And I find this one's a fun one. School Live, go to our anime discussion. We did an anime anti-climax on it. Essentially, this is a zombie apocalypse anime. They make it pretty obvious on the cover, or live action for this. I'm not going to ruin it, but there is a twist to this that, to me, makes this series special. Somebody was talking about,
you just gave away the twist.
Well, I gave away the twist when I showed the cover.
Right.
So, I mean, they make it pretty obvious here.
Yeah.
But the twist here is one that I'm going to leave there because there is a special way that they went about it, and I'm going to leave that as a thing for y'all. But somebody was saying, well, why do you like that one? I mean, and not like High School of the Dead. I said, well, High School of the Dead is an ecchi with gory zombie elements in it, and it doesn't really have an identity. Though the author has passed, so I'm sorry to hear about that, because I know many of y'all wanted more ecchi zombie action. In all seriousness, because, it's sad that the person had died. But to me, the series was not enough. What they should have done is either lightened up the zombie elements and made it a full-on ecchi, even close to hentai, or they should have toned down on the ecchi elements and made it into a full-on zombie horror. They tried to have their cake and eat it too, and it came out ridiculous and, to me, stupid. But people like it. More power to you. You see, to me, I don't like it because it's too much ecchi in it. You've got this really stupid nurse character, big boob nurse character with bath scenes in the middle of gory zombie blood effects. Which animated might not give you a problem, but if it was live action, you would have definitely had a problem with High School of the Dead. So, I don't know. But this, I don't know how the live action handled it, but the animation, you should watch it. It is well worth your time.
Indeed.
More in depth in our anime anti-climax.
And now for something completely different.
What?
My next one is actually a little bit less expensive. It was like $3 less. But it was another one that I eyed the last time I looked at an Arrow sale. It is a conversion. I tend to go light on conversions because, well, I already have them. But it's a really good film that I have on DVD, so I wanted to upgrade. And this is definitely a hell of an upgrade. And for whatever reason, maybe because Arrow released it, this is one of the few Robert Altman films that does not have Criterion release. That I don't believe it does. But whatever the case, the Arrow release is quite lovely. And that is his film of Julianne Fellowes' Gosford Park, which was a wonderful murder mystery that features a hilariously acerbic Maggie Smith, not to mention just tons of great people in it. This was Fellowes before Downton Abbey. There's a lot of similarities, and I've read his book Snobs. There's also a lot of similarities with that book, but it is your typical, in some ways, your typical Robert Altman, many moving parts moving together to make a great film. It's a very entertaining, very enjoyable.
Love
this
the cover
edition,
on that.
yeah, it's a nice looking cover. Very nice special features there. And so again, even though this isn't a Criterion edition, it's still a really nice collector's edition. And somehow the fact that it came from Arrow, since this is a British story, basically, it seems appropriate somehow. But like I said, that was one I just had to snap up. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, my wife would love that. That's one of her favorite films.
Oh.
Now, yeah, I will not be participating in the Criterion sale this year. If I get anything, it'll probably be Solo, because I don't know if that one will remain in print with them. Most of the stuff does keep in print with them. They don't tend to let things go out of print.
Right.
But there have been some, like Peeping Tom, and a lot of the ones that never made it to DVD or Blu-ray. But
Like a lot of the Laserdisc ones, yeah.
But Salo is the only one. If I do participate this year, it'll be that. But back when I used to go in because you used to be able to stack your 10% discount. But now they won't do that. I found that out this summer, so I was like, okay, I'm not renewing my card. There's no reason why I would.
Right.
And now I no longer feel obligated, because I can do just as well sometimes on either their 50% off sale that Criterion does on their own, or Amazon will sometimes run them cheap. I would prefer to give it to Barnes & Noble than Amazon, but, you know.
But the sales do usually sync up. Like,
Yes.
you will typically find between 1 and 6, we'll say, Criterion films for sale for $20 to $25 on Blu-ray any time of the year on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
But it's specifically the Criterion sale is in July and November, and Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Criterion all sync up. They all run the sale at the same time. And every now and then, the only other place that typically, I was talking earlier with Mo about them holding their price, they hold their price well.
Yeah.
So if you really want Criterion at an affordable price, the sale is the way to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're basically paying Barnes & Noble movie prices.
Actually, though, I will say this. Barnes & Noble charges probably more for it off of the sale than almost anywhere else during the rest of the year.
Well, I was going to say, well, no.
Amazon's usually cheaper most of the year.
Yeah,
round, except for
I would say Barnes &
times.
Noble's maybe $5. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
That
during
was
the
weird.
sale, I'd say Barnes & Noble is a little bit cheaper, like $3 to $5 maybe. During the rest of the year, Barnes & Noble is about $10 more, because
Right.
$34.99, I guarantee. Well, that's the Arrow, but you
That's
know what I
Arrow,
mean.
yeah. But you
yeah.
see occasionally, and I look for them. I don't go through the whole thing because that would be tedious and take forever. But every now and then I'll find a Blu-ray for $29.99, and I'll pick that up.
Now, I do love hunting for it when I can, if I have money, which I don't. So, since I don't have money, there's not much there. But, I'll tell you what. I'm going to treat you all to a previous Criterion sale pickup.
Okay.
And that was an upgrade for Time Bandits, a Terry Gilliam film. One of the ones that's not so well known. I actually look at this one and Baron Munchausen about on the same level, though Baron Munchausen also needs a Criterion release, in my opinion. This is essentially a time-traveling movie with a bunch of little people and a child and a lot of strangeness. Basically, they stole the blueprint in heaven, and apparently there are tears in the fabric of time, and they've been trying to take advantage of that to become robbers. Of course, Satan's also involved.
Of course.
But you got to see it to believe it. It is filled with Terry Gilliam oddities. This is one that should be gotten, and it has a decent number of special features. Mm-hmm. If you really like Monty Python's type stuff, this is not that far off of that weirdness. Mm-hmm. It's not quite as tongue-in-cheek as Monty Python, but gets close to it, to be sure. To me, underrated, Jim.
Okay. Well, speaking of Terry Gilliam films that have to do with time travel, one of the ones that Criterion has, for whatever reason, never released, but that Arrow has, and it was sitting there on the shelf, and it took every ounce of self-control to walk away without an Arrow copy of 12 Monkeys. I wanted that. It would have been so good.
Good film.
Oh, it is an excellent film. It's one of his most accessible films, I think, even though it is still weird as hell. But I did get 2 Criterion films, and again, there were films there was one that it took every ounce self-control, and these 2 in the end are the reason why I was able to put back Afterlife, which is a Hirokazu Koreeda film. But I occasionally will allow circumstance and fate to dictate my decision making. And Afterlife did have a slightly crooked book, which meant it was going to be less than perfect. And, but as it turns out, this morning at my job at the library, I was looking for some missing items. And one of them, I happened to see the exact same title staring back at me from the shelf. And I was like, you know what? I've never seen this film. It's a very famous film. It's based on a famous book that I need to read. And what the hell? I'm going to go ahead and get it. And that is the adaptation of Jean Le Carré's The Spy Who Came In From the Cold.
Oh, very cool.
Which is a very classic film from '65, directed by, who was this directed by? Martin Ritt. Screenplay, it was not screenplay by Le Carré, but he is a very famed espionage writer. And I've been meaning to read some of his stuff. I just haven't done it. This one's a little lighter on bonus features than we're used to from Criterion. But I also think I want to say this is one of their older ones, isn't it? I don't know. The spine number's pretty high. Well, 452. No, actually, no. 452. I think this is one of their older releases. But like I said, this is one that I know I need to see. It's been on the radar for a long, long time, and I just never made an effort to change that. And this just seemed like a great confluence of reasoning. Yeah, it was a flimsy excuse to pick it to get today, but what the hell? I went there intending to buy 2, and I saw this before Afterlife, and that is probably in the end what made my decision.
All right. Well, my last one is a sequel to one I talked about maybe last week. It was definitely last month. And that is Video Nasties, The Definitive Guide, Part 2. We talked about this before, about the banned films in the UK. So it kind of just keeps following up with that, and it also has a boatload of special features. 82 titles that were not designated under Section 3 of the Obscene Publications Act. These titles were liable for seizure and forfeiture by the police. So if they discovered one of these titles in your house, they could take it. See, this is why these are very important, in my opinion, because they could do that here. You get like a moral majority individual or a easily offended individual in higher power. It could go either way. They could easily take up the mob. It might go more on the other side this time. Is, we need to go in and take away all movies that could be offensive to people of whatever. And that stuff could happen here. Police could come into your house and seize your physical media. If you're not, and that's why these type of things, it's good to have this sort of information. So, and these are not, some of these films, I know you've seen some of these films.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not all like films like Phantasm.
Oh, that's on there?
Yep. And,
wow.
There are a lot of these that are on here. I know you've seen some of the ones on here. I mean, we're talking 82 films. There's just 82 more. There are a lot on this list.
Let me see here.
So, but I knew a couple.
Oh, you guys did Deep Red without me, didn't you?
Yep, Deep Red was a good film-ish. I've got it. So that would have been
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Screw that movie. I hate that movie.
But I could say, even though you hate it, you would not be for people going in and confiscating copies.
No. Teach their own.
So that completes the two.
Yeah.
Of this series. So I'm kind of glad to have it because, I mean, think about it. These are films that are just, I mean, The Evil Dead, for goodness sakes.
Right.
I mean, I know that's probably not your favorite film, but it's one that I think you probably do have in your catalog, don't you?
I know I have Evil Dead 2, but I'm not really sure. I intend to get it.
And it is, if anything, a definitive film regarding the filmmaker.
Right.
And Bruce Campbell.
Right.
So I just, to me, this is important when you're talking about physical media, film preservation, the right to watch what you want to watch, as long as you're not hurting anybody. And I'm sorry, most of these films, you're not hurting people watching.
Yeah.
The blood is fake for the most part.
Yeah. Right.
Go for it.
All right. And my last one, this is the main reason that I was chomping at the bit for this particular Criterion sale. It's a film that I have not yet seen, but I've been wanting to see. It was notably one of the first films to be distributed through Netflix. And I believe it was produced and picked up by Netflix. Like, it wasn't a Netflix film, but it was released through them. And until this summer, it had never had a physical release. And the movie is now 6 years old. And it's about damn time. So I definitely jumped on the chance to get the film Beasts of No Nation.
I knew you were getting that one.
Yep. This is a film that Idris Elba got a ton of Oscar praise for. He won like every other award, and when push came to shove, no Oscar love for Idris Elba, which is a shame because the dude's a great actor. From what I understand, this is basically a film about war and children in Africa. I want to say Elba plays a mercenary who basically just kind of exploits the situation. It's supposed to be a very hard watch, but it's also supposed to be a very good movie. And I just want to promote these streaming films coming out on media. So I definitely was about to snap this up. And it's encouraging to see that it finally got a release. It's unsurprising that Criterion did.
Yeah.
And honestly, they got... It's not a lot of special features, but it's got a few. And it's about what you would expect with a new-ish release. I am glad that they don't usually send them right out of the gate. Because, again, we want their Criterion stuff to build up some nice fun, you know.
I just
but
wanna
still,
see it, yeah.
I want to see, like, maybe every 2 to 3 years. Like, Mudbound at this point is, like, 5 years old. It needs a Criterion release. The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, I think, is about 3 years old now.
That's overdue
That would
because
be-
they usually release Cohen films.
Right. And then the, I know you're waiting for American Factory.
Yes.
They have announced upcoming releases for Time and Dick Johnson is Dead, which is really
Oh, yeah, I
awesome with
want
both
that
of
one.
those.
Next Criterion sale, I am getting Dick Johnson
Right.
is Dead.
So, you know, it's nice to see these happening. We had the Hulu series Minding the Gap.
Yep.
They've announced Amazon's The Sound of Metal, which,
Definitely.
yeah, that is a kick-ass film. But I really do want to see them step up a notch. And I don't think that one isn't a Criterion release, right? I think it's just a physical release.
What?
The Sound of Metal. Or-
Not that I know. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but it would be nice if that had gotten a Criterion release. But still, like I said, you know, just my little plea into the universe: more of these, get physical release. But at least this one finally did, and I technically could watch it because I have Netflix, but that wasn't the case for a long time.
Yeah.
and I'd rather just watch it, you know, on this.
Indeed.
Yep.
Support your physical media. You never know. If you only support digital, you'll actually never know when they'll just pull it.
This
it'll
is
be gone.
true, yes.
So with that being said, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and of course, share. And we'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.